What's up guys, Paladin back with another champion concept video. Today we're going to be going over a champion known as Vendkara the Deeviled Precursor. I hope you guys like the concept here. If you guys like the videos, please leave a like and subscribe, and we'll get right into the video. Alright, so to break down Vendkara as a champion, she's part of a race known as Demis, which are a demonic race, unknown origins. They are sent every few hundred years down to the planet to bring balance and erupt chaos, basically. She is part of a coalition known as the Precursors of Chaos. What happens is these precursors, there's actually 4 of them total. They actually come down to the planet in the form of meteors, all different colors. Their bodies are actually manifested from the energies of all of the pre-existing precursors that have happened throughout history. So her body actually really doesn't exist. She's actually just a manifest of energy. She comes down to the planet, and why she's here, we don't know. Her weapon is a demon-infused gunblade, so she actually has a physical and a range capability in her kit. She does mixed damage, so she'll be doing AP and AD, as well as, I was thinking, being more of a mid laner. I think her playstyle, once you guys see the kit, you guys can let me know what you think. She's very agile, very bursty damage. I would say very comparable to the new Aurelia, the new LeBlanc, the new Akali. Kind of fits into that area. I think she would be a good champion to play if you play a lot of Akali or Aurelia, but you guys can let me know once you guys see the kit. Alright, so to get into her passive first. Her passive is known as Blades Before Bullets. After using an ability, Vendkara's next auto attack will be ranged, plus 250 damage, or plus 250 range, firing from her gunblade, dealing magic damage. This passive will hold 3 charges known as Prelilium rounds, with the 3rd and final shot dealing bonus magic damage, as well as applying a slowing effect to the target champion. After the 3rd round, Vendkara will reload her gunblade, putting the passive ability on cooldown for the next 3 seconds. This is, it's very comparable to Jhin passive. I would say a combination of Jhin passive and Jace. So she's able to, after every ability, her next auto attack will be ranged. This gives her a little more poke in the laning phase if she's playing up against some sort of bruiser or some high damage dealing assassin. Gives her a little bit of range so she can stay a little bit far away from them. And then her 3rd round will add a slowing effect. This will be easier when it comes to kiting, maybe trying to get away from somebody, or trying to close the gap on a weaker champion. Her first ability is known as Sword's Spiral. This has a cooldown that starts as 8 and goes down to level 6 at max range, or at max level. Her range is 500 on this ability, and this is a skill shot. So Vendkara will throw her sword in front of her, moving in a spinning motion. I was thinking vertically to the ground, more than likely. The sword will spin 2 to 4 seconds based on the level, dealing physical damage to all targets it passes through. If the target hit is an enemy champion, the target will be locked in place. There will be a staggered knock-up, so they can't flash away, they can't do anything. This just kind of just knocks them up, but it can't be comboed off of. So what I mean by comboed off is you can't, it makes them invulnerable to other targets' damage for the duration of this ability. So they can't, Yasuo can't use his ultimate, you can't like Gnar ult off of it. While the sword is knocking them up, this will deal physical damage to them for the duration of the ability. This ability can also be reactivated to call the sword back to Vendkara, reducing the cooldown and refunding 1 charge of her passive. This is her main way of wave clear, as well as her main way of poking. So throwing out the Q, be able to knock somebody out, calling the sword back to them, maybe before the ability is actually done, to then recharge one of your passive rounds, allowing you to get a little more poke damage off. This is a good early combo. I would suggest getting Q at the very beginning and probably maxing it first as well. Alright, her second ability is Baltic Jump. This has a cooldown that starts as 20.5 and goes down to 16 at max rank, with a range of 250 and an extra range of plus 200. So I'll kind of explain that a little bit. Vendkara uses her demi energy to lift herself into the air. Can be used to scale terrain. So think of it as kind of a fizz sort of jump. After level 3, Vendkara can reactivate Baltic Jump a 2nd time, allowing her to jump a 2nd time. If double jumping in place, this will allow Vendkara to increase her current vision, will give her plus 100 vision, even over terrain. With using the second active of Baltic Jump, Vendkara's next auto attack, her next passive auto attack will gain an extra 200 range. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on in this ability. So the first part is this is a movement ability. You're going to be using this to move around the map. You can use this to jump over terrain. You can think kind of how Talon uses his parkour ability to jump over the terrain. She can actually reactivate this a second time after she puts 3 ranks into this ability to allow her to jump a second time. So you can jump in one direction and then jump in the second direction. You can use it to double jump in midair, so like in one single spot. This will allow her to increase vision. So let's say you guys are let's say the enemy's taking Baron, for instance. You can actually double jump in place, and this will allow you to see over the Baron pit. So that way you don't have to walk either a little bit close enough to it, or you don't have to ward. If you don't have a ward, or you have to like blind flash to check over it. Also, when using the second portion of Baltic Jump, Vendkara's next passive auto attack will gain an extra 200 range. So now you're thinking you're at what, 600 range almost, or about 550, 600 range with your next auto attack. That's a very, very long auto attack. Depending on what you're building, that's gonna be able to do a lot of damage on that auto attack. And as you can see, her kit is really revolving around utilizing this passive. The more damage and the more passive that you can get off with it, the better. Alright, her third ability is called Forcing Edge. This has a cooldown that starts at 13 and goes down to 10. With a range of 400 to 650, and plus an extra 100 range on the top of that. So Vendkara will charge her blade behind her back in a spinning motion, and this is also a skill shot. Once charged, Vendkara will dash in target direction, dealing physical damage. Vendkara has 2 separate charge points, each inflicting different effects. What I mean by charge points, when you think of Varus, how Varus charges his Q, the longer Varus charges his Q, the more damage it does, as well as the farther it will travel. So that's kind of what I mean with Vendkara's 2 charge points. The first charge point will be between ranges 50 and 400. This will activate Vendkara a short dash, and then applying her passive for her third auto attack. So she'll slice through her enemy targets, dealing physical damage. It's a short dash, and then she will apply to instantly her next auto attack will apply her third auto attack passive, so which basically will just slow them. The second charge point is from 450 to 650. This is a longer dash. This will deal an additional bonus of missing HP damage through all enemy champions hit, and Vendkara will slide past the skill shot ending point, which she'll slide about 75 to 100 range after that point. This is a cool ability. There's no really abilities in the game where you're sliding past a certain point. So the biggest reason why I did this is so if she's sliding into an enemy territory, you have to basically be sure that this ability is going to kill them, or you angle it in a way where you're going to get out of range of other targets. So if you're sliding into a backline, you can use this to slide through the backline, deal damage, and then escape on the other side. But also, if you slide in and the enemy actually converges on you, this extra range may actually put you in harm's way. So you need to be able to use it properly. And I think this is where a lot of her skills, the big skill gap is going to come with using this champion, is understanding when to use this ability and not to just, do the whole Yasuo, I'm going to jump in, E, alt, and then just try to fight everybody and die, which I think what would happen with Vendkara with a lot of players who are not very skilled on her. But you guys can let me know in the comments. Alright guys, we're going to get into her final ability known as Deviled Trigger. This is her ultimate with a cooldown starts at 220 and goes down to 180 seconds. Vendkara awakens the demonic precursor inside of her, briefly heightening her power level and appearance. I was thinking kind of around the lines of like Super Saiyan, where the hair goes up, changes color, kind of moves a lot. There's an aura that kind of builds around them. Something just makes her look very terrifying. While in this form, Vendkara will have access to a new resource bar known as Collision Matter. Collision Matter is granted from dealing magic damage to enemy champions with both abilities and both abilities and auto attacks. The more demonic matter Vendkara has, the more damage her auto attacks will do. When Vendkara takes more damage than she's dealing, her demonic matter will fade, losing her meter. So the idea of this ability is when you ult, the more damage that you're putting out, the more damage you're going to consistently do. So basically you're stacking high amounts of damage on high amounts of damage. The downside is the more damage you're taking, you're actually going to lose a lot of that damage. If you're fighting like, you know, a support or a tank who doesn't put out a ton of damage, you're actually going to be able to shred them very, very fast. Now, if you're fighting somebody who's also fed just like you, let's say somebody who has consistent damage like a Kaisa, a Lucian, a Master E, you may struggle slightly, and the matchup's going to be more skill-based, using your, you know, your Q to knock them up, using your E, and trying to use, you know, your W to kind of get away from them. You're going to have to pick those battles. This ability itself is going to be very similar to how Yasuo players play, I feel, where Yasuo players will jump in, they'll ult, and then they'll try to, you know, 1v9, and then they end up dying a lot. But then you have the good Yasuos who know when to pick their spots, when to ult. That's the same person who is going to be very successful on a champion like Vendkara. So you guys let me know about the ultimate in the comments. I know when it comes to abilities that just give you more damage, I know a lot of people get really, really mad. So just kind of let me know what you guys think. All right, and just to kind of wrap up this champion concept, I put down some good and some maybe not so good tips on Vendkara. I think she has really good trading potential, especially with her ability to play around her passive. She's going to have a lot more range if she's playing in, you know, these type of melee matchups. A lot of movement abilities. Her E and her W allow her to move very well around the map, very fluently, can give her some very nice ganking and, you know, flanking routes. And she also has some crazy survivability with her ultimate, being that she's going to be able to put out way more damage than mostly anybody else, unless they're just on the same level as her when it comes to damage. The downsides, she's not very tanky. So applying any sort of CC to her, somebody like Poppy would be very, very good into Vendkara. She's going to be able to lock him down with her W, stun her into a wall, knock her up. And because you're not going to end up building a lot of defense on her, maybe Hourglass, it's going to be very, very easy to kill her. Managing the passive stacks is something that's going to be very challenging to a lot of players. You have to make sure you are not just blowing all your load on one, you know, little instant. You're keeping one of those in the chamber, especially that third shot. It's going to allow you to slow, kite away from somebody, or kite closer to an enemy. She's very skill shot reliant. You know, her W, her Q, you want to make sure that you're able to hit these abilities, because if you're not going to hit them, you're going to be very similar to like somebody like Xerath, where if you don't hit your abilities, you're not doing damage. Obviously, that's League logic. And also her mid game is going to be very neutral. I think late game she'll be very strong. I think early game she's very good because she can poke a lot. Mid game she may fall off slightly depending on how you're building her. I'm not sure item build wise. You guys let me know what you guys think item builds would work with her, and if you guys like this champion concept or not. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.